Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel, or if you are new, welcome. My name is Mandy, and I have an issue with way too many foundations. More than anybody would need in their absolute lifetime. And as I was going through them thinking I have too many foundations, I also got to thinking, oh, but which one of these have I actually repurchased? Because when you have a collection of over 100 foundations like I do, which is absolutely ridiculous, to say that you've actually repurchased a foundation is kind of insane. Now, I am going to preface this. I have 5 foundations I'm going to talk about. There is one that I am not using as a foundation because I use it predominantly for concealer, but I have repurchased it for that, and it's the Chantecaille Future Skin Gel Foundation. So I am going to link that, but the reason I didn't include it in this is because 90% of the time I use that as concealer and not as foundation. So technically, I repurchased a concealer. That's the only reason I haven't included that one in this video. But I did pull out the 5 foundations that I have repurchased, some of which I repurchased because I actually ran out of them, and some of them I'm about to run out of, and I repurchased because I did not want to be without it. That's how much I love them. So I did some cutaways to me using these foundations and how they look on the skin after everything is done, how I apply them. And I'm not going to go in any particular order because clearly I love all of these. So to ask me to pick my absolute favorite might be a little hard because it just depends on the day. I do have 2 that are very similar, however, so I will start with those. The first is the Chanel Le Beige Water Fresh Tint. So this is the one that I am going through very fast. So I purchased another one because I didn't want to be without it. I am in the shade medium. This comes in 8 shades. It is 1 ounce and it retails for $70. Now this one I've done a full video on and I've used it in many videos, but it is it is the most watery version of a foundation that I'm going to show today. I apply this with my fingers. It does have pigmented like beads, so it does need to be warmed up in some form or fashion before it's applied. They suggest using the brush that it comes with. I have tried using this brush and I don't love applying it that way. I much prefer applying it with my fingers like I would a moisturizer. It is comprised of 75% water, so you're going to get a lot of hydration from this. It is said to be a light to medium coverage foundation. It is sheer to light in my opinion. There's no way I could get medium coverage out of this, and that's okay because that's not why I wear this. I wear this to even out my skin tone, and I do feel like the longer I wear it, the more it evens it out. It almost has to like sink into the skin to give its best amount of coverage and to give my face a very plump, refreshed, hydrated look. So I like using this on days where maybe my redness isn't as bad, I don't require a ton of coverage, but I'm also feeling dull, and I just feel like my skin needs a good drink of water, for lack of a better description, considering that is basically what it's getting when you're using this product. I love this by itself under just regular non-tinted powders, which is how I used it in the cutaway, but it also works really well under powder foundations as a hydrating layer. So if you're someone who has dry skin and you feel like you can't wear powder foundations or you want to try powder foundations, it's a good idea to use something like this underneath it to give that extra boost of hydration, and then you're getting an extra boost of coverage with the powder foundation on top. So the Chanel Le Beige Water Fresh Tint, love it so much. Now the one that is very similar to that is the Jane Iredale Hydropure Tinted Serum. They call this a tinted serum. I don't know how many of these I've gone through. I went through quite a few bottles when it was liquid minerals before they changed over to the Hydropure because they did change the formula a little bit. I was very scared when that happened, and when they first changed it, I didn't love this as much as I do now, and I think that's because I was just so bitter about them changing something that I loved so much. But it's definitely grown on me, and this is at least the second, if not third one that I have purchased and gone through since they changed over to the Hydropure. This is also 1 ounce. It retails for $58 before a discount. I always have a discount with Jane Iredale through Harbin House for 20%. When I'm filming this video, they're having their Black Friday sale for 30%, so you can always get a discount, and it comes in 7 shades. So definitely not a wide array of shades, kind of like the Water Fresh Tint, but I think it's because it is such a sheer to light formula and it's very forgiving. I am in the shade medium 4. This has hyaluronic acid, it has olive squalane, it is extremely moisturizing to the skin. Even though these are both similar as far as having microbead pigments that you really do need to work into your hands and apply to the face. I find this one gives a little bit more coverage and honestly makes your skin look even more plump, for lack of a better word. I probably need to get a thesaurus out. The Chanel is a little more dewy when first applied, but this one it really does do something to the appearance of the face, in my opinion. At least it does for me. I also love pairing this with the Jane Iredale Pure Press Base or any powder foundation. This one has a little bit more of a learning curve than the Chanel because it is a little chunkier. It kind of looks like cottage cheese when you pump it out. It doesn't look like it's gonna get any better when you rub it in between your fingers and warm it up, but I promise you, once you start applying it to the face, it evens out. No problem. And sometimes if I feel like I want a little bit more coverage, I'll warm some of this up in a brush and stipple it into the areas I want more coverage after I've applied the initial layer. This one I have gone through multiple, and I will always have one in my collection. All right, let's talk about a couple of more fuller coverage foundations. This one is the Lancome Teint Idole Ultra Wear Care and Glow. I honestly could have put the Teint Idole Ultra Wear Original in because I have gotten multiples of that as well. But when this one launched, even though I don't see a huge difference between the two, there is something about this that makes me like it a little bit more than the original. And I have purchased more than one, probably even more than that, because I have gotten a couple to put in my kit. I like it so much. This does have an SPF of 27. That's negligible to me. I do not use this as my SPF, and I never recommend doing that. This comes in more shades. It comes in 30 shades. I believe the Ultra Wear Original comes in more, so it's not as extensive, but it's definitely more than the first two I talked about. It's 1 ounce and it retails for $53. I am in the shade 310N. This claims to be an 82% hydrating base formula, and it is medium coverage. I do not find that this is like full coverage, but I don't want full coverage, and that's probably why I love it so much, because it does not look like foundation sitting on your skin. It still gives that very perfected skin finish, but it definitely gives more coverage than the first two I spoke about. It claims to be made for all skin types, and I think that would probably be the case. If you're super dry, you might want to use a hydrating primer, or if you're super oily, you might want to use an oil control primer, but I do feel like this is going to work on everybody. I have used it on many different skin types in my professional kit, and it works. It says it is sweat resistant and kind of heat proof. I mean, I haven't really, I guess I've probably worked out in this in the past, but I will say it is very long lasting, and that can be said for the original as well. I never have to worry about my foundation not lasting when I use some kind of Lancome foundation. They are just always bulletproof on me, and I just love the finish this gives, the wear it gives, the look it gives. I always like my makeup when I wear this one, which is probably why I keep repurchasing. The fourth foundation that I'm going to talk about is actually the one I have on today, one that I really can't stop using lately. Hence the reason I got another one, even though this one is not quite done. This is the LYS Foundation Stick. I have that much left. I am in the shade MN3, which I find is a spot on shade for me. This is one of the best shade matches I have in a foundation. I hope I'm reading this right, y'all. My eyesight's just not what it used to be, but I think it's 0.25 ounces of product, and it retails for $27. When I first got this, it retailed for $25 because I did an entire video on this, mainly because I was blown away by how it looks on the skin, how it wears on the skin, how easy it is to blend out, how comfortable it is to wear. This is the best stick foundation that I have ever tried, and I have tried many. Lancome was my favorite before this. Dior I have tried. Goodness, Tom Ford I have tried. So many stick foundations I have tried. The Fenty, I'm trying to see, just look at the ones that I have right now. This blows them all out of the water for me and my skin. It claims to have a natural matte finish. I would say it's more of a natural satin finish, which to me is one of my favorites because it does look like skin. It has great coverage to it. It does have green tea extract and watermelon seed extract and rosehip oil for prolonged hydration. Even though it has the oil in it, I don't find it's oily or tacky or anything like that on my skin. I find that this wears phenomenally, and I did not want to be without it. I love it so much that I thought to myself today when I was doing my makeup, I wonder how this would act as a concealer. So I used this as a concealer. I know that LYS now has a separate concealer, And I do have one. I think it's a little too dark. So I need to get another one to try, because when I did try it out, I liked how it wore. So I thought, why not try this under the eyes? I don't know that it's gonna be great under the eyes, to be honest, but it is great all over the face. Hence the reason I have repurchased. Now we're gonna be talking about my fifth and final one. And if you have watched me for any amount of time, you probably can guess what this is. This is not liquid. It is not cream. It is not stick. It is powder. The Jane Iredale Pure Press Powder is probably my most repurchased foundation ever. I can't even tell you, more than the Hydropure, I can't tell you how many of these I've gone through. In fact, I just repurchased another refill through the Black Friday sale at Harbin House. I have multiple shades of this. I have this in my kit. It is phenomenal. Phenomenal. I prefer to use this most of the time. And I say most of the time because, I mean, it wore phenomenally on the day I tested this on plain skin with an untinted sunscreen. But I really love these two together. I've talked about that endlessly on my channel. I love this on top of tinted SPFs. When I travel, that tends to be my combination of choice, because I've already got my SPF in my skincare bag. I just need to pop this into my makeup bag and I'm good to go. It is not overly matte, but it's also not overly dewy. They say that you need to set it with a hydration spray to really have it come out and be its best. I don't find that's the case for me. It's its best on its own, but sometimes I set it with a hydration spray. It just depends. I personally still like to use my Fit Glow powder in my T-zone when I wear this, and I will do that underneath this, and I will go over it to make sure all the color is even, but I just find that the Fit Glow is just what I need right now in my life, in my T-zone, to keep it from getting shiny. One of the best, if not the best, powder foundation formulas to ever hit the market. It has been 25 plus years that this has been around and loved, and for good reason. This is the shade Golden Glow, and this is the shade Suntan. I mixed these two for the purposes of the demo, and I ordered Warm Sienna. I also have Satin. I have 4 or 5 shades in my kit. I'm telling you, I can't get enough of this foundation. I use the handy brush to apply this, and then I also have the Jane Iredale Flock Sponge, which is really good if you load up the powder and just swipe it, or even just stipple it into areas you need more coverage. That's gonna give you the absolute most coverage from this product. Just hands down one of the best foundations to ever hit the market, in my opinion. And the one out of all of them that I have purchased the most. So that is the roundup of the 5 foundations that I have actually repurchased in my insanely large foundation collection. I will have these listed and linked down in the description box. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have any questions. And as always, let me know your most repurchased foundation down in the comment section below. Thank y'all so much for watching. I will see you in my next video, and I hope you all go out and have a very blessed day.